Hello, my name is Beck and welcome today to a book tag, and I was tagged by the lovely Steph, so I will leave her and the original creator of the tag linked down below, as well as the questions if you want to do this tag as well, so let's get into it. Question number 1 is genre, and that is choose a genre that reflects your general mood. And I think with this tag we're trying to build our ideal book, so the genre that reflects my ideal mood usually is fantasy because it's very escapist, it's very magical usually. Pretty much all of my read books recently have been fantasy. One of the key ones that I'm going to recommend to everyone, because I want everyone to have read it even though it gets hyped up quite a lot, is The Name of the Wind. So if you haven't read this one, please do. It's accessible to adult fantasy readers, it's accessible to younger fantasy readers wanting to pick up adult books, because it's told from a character who is growing up, and there's also a magical university in here, so it has links to things in young adult fiction like the institution for the school, for example, and a magic system that Quoth can learn. And so it is quite mystical, it is quite magical, but it is very relatable as well. Question number 2 is main character. So if you could pull a main character from any other book and then have that character be the main character of another series, whether that's a new series I imagine or a continuation of the series that has already concluded, I would choose a character from Robin Hobb. So I like Fitz, I love him. I love the entire Elderlings series, but Fitz just frustrates me to no end, and I would like to see more of Bee, and we see Bee in the last trilogy. So I would like to see more of her character because she's got some interesting things about her, and I don't want to say what they are because obviously I don't want to spoil anything. But Bee would definitely be one. So the Realm of the Elderlings, even though it's like a multiple book series anyway, so it's a little bit of a self-indulgent thing to say I want more of this series when it's got like over 15 books in it. And then another one obviously would be Name of the Wind because we all want book 3, but let's move right along because that is a sore spot for a lot of people. Question number 3 is supporting character. So who would be your main character's sidekick? This is a really hard one for me because I was going to pick someone else from the Elderlings series, and I don't want to pick 2 characters from the Elderlings. Lemon Fresh from Lifelike by J. Kristoff was actually pretty cool. She's pretty chipper, she's pretty happy, although sometimes her slang and her way of talking gets a little bit on my nerves, and it brings me out of the story a little bit. I still really liked her character, and I like the situations that she finds herself in because we follow her more so in book 2, but we see her featured as a sidekick in book 1. So I kind of had that wish fulfilled already, but Lemon Fresh is one, and then another one is Night Eyes from the Realm of the Elderlings series, and Night Eyes doesn't come into it until the second book in the first trilogy. So I'll put that on the screen because all the names sound familiar. So even though I've read all of the books, I don't know which book it is. Maybe it's Royal Assassin, I could be wrong. But Night Eyes across the series is my absolute favourite character. And I haven't read the Elderlings series for like years. I think I picked them up when I was like 15 or 16 and I'm 26 now. So that was a long time ago. And I recently read Assassin's Fate, which is the last book when it came out, and I think that was in like 2017. So it's been a few years and these characters are still on my mind and they're still in my heart. So Robin Hobb is just a master at creating her characters, and I love Night Eyes for that reason. I just love him so much. Question number 4 is trope, and it is what trope can you just not get enough of? I'm a huge sucker for the found family trope, which is definitely prevalent in Record of a Spaceborn Few and all of Becky Chambers' books, and it's also in Every Heart a Doorway, which I've got right here as well. So found family is a big one for me. I love it when characters go on a quest, for starters, so obviously I love fantasy for that reason, but both of these are like sci-fi heavy, and then this is more of like an urban fantasy, so it's fantastical stuff set in our world. So these are deviating a little bit from my favourite genre, but another trope that I'm a real sucker for is the magical schools trope. So obviously there's a magical university in Name of the Wind, like I mentioned before. There's one in the Black Prism series, which I loved, and then there's one in Nevernight, which is more of like an assassin school, and it's not a very nice place to be, but we go there anyway. So that's just a few. I'm sure there are others. I did really like Red Sister, which again is a fantasy book, but it has a kind of magical school in the sense that the characters are all nuns, but they're learning how to be assassins. So it's like assassin nuns. So I like many variations on the school trope. Question number 5 is plot twist. Which book has your favourite plot twist? I don't know how to tell this without spoiling anything, so I'm not going to say what any plot twists specifically are. I'm just going to say which books had a plot twist in them that I really, really enjoyed and didn't see coming. So you may or may not know, because if you've kept up with my vlogs and reading wrap-ups, you've probably seen me talk about Joe Abercrombie, and I read pretty much his entire catalogue in 2019, I think, and I listened mostly to the audiobooks, but his newest book, A Little Hatred, came out, and that is the plot twist I'm going to talk about, because there was not like a cataclysmic plot twist at the end, but there was a twist in here just before the end that actually made me gasp aloud, and then the twist at the end of the book wasn't as cataclysmic, it was more foreboding. So it had two different types of twists in this one, and I really liked that. I didn't obviously see either of them coming either, which was awesome. Another plot twist I didn't see coming, pretty much the entirety of The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson, which is the third book in his Mistborn trilogy, so if you haven't checked that out yet, please do. And then also the Black Prism series, so the Lightbringer series, the last book in that series, The Burning White, a masterpiece. All of them, again, on brand with high fantasy. Question number 6 is relationships. What sort of relationship is important in your book? I like lots of different relationships in books, but if I had to pick one that is like my go-to, I love a character that seems pretty isolated, being exposed to new situations and having people help them along the way, and the help coming from a fairly selfless place rather than a place of one character can take advantage of the other. I really loved Becky Chambers' books for that reason. I really, really loved her whole Wayfarers trilogy for starters, but also her novella To Be Taught If Fortunate. I think that has a brilliant host of relationships in it, and it's about these 4 characters, and they're all astronauts, and they're on this long haul space trip to basically catalogue different planets and see if life is growing there, and they have communications with Earth, but because they're so far away from Earth, the messages don't get to them until like 13 years have passed or something, so when they receive things, all their information is out of date. So it's a really interesting concept of visiting these new places that you want to tell people about, being stuck with the same people for pretty much the rest of your life while you're on this astronaut journey, and also knowing that you're the first humans to ever land in this particular planet or on the multiple planets they go to. So it touches on a few different dynamics of relationships with the people you're with, your relationship with your environment and what you leave behind. And I think that it's just so beautiful, and Becky Chambers did a wonderful job, as she always does. She has very soft, emotional and emotive books, and I really, really love everything she's written so far. So To Be Taught If Fortunate, yes, but also her Wayfarers series, because it has elements of that through it, especially in Record of a Spaceborne Few, which is the third book in the trilogy. Question number 7 is villain. Which villain would you steal for your book? And I don't know, actually. I don't think I've read a villain recently that's like not been a villain for just being a villain. And I mean that as in I read a lot of villains who are just there because they want to kill things or take over the world, and there's no deep motivation for the villain like there would be for the hero character. Usually I don't mind that and I can overlook it, but at the same time it adds a little bit of nuance, it adds more detail and it adds more intrigue if you've got a villain that is not just like a boo, I'm a villain, I'm gonna kill everything, and doesn't have any more depth than that. That rambling aside, I still haven't thought of one. No one in the Joe Abercrombie books is technically a villain, but none of them are really good either. So I'd probably pick Glockta from the First Law series, because he is a character that has literally been twisted by life. So he started out as this brilliant warrior who was very, very skilled, and then he was captured by the opposing side who his country were at war with and tortured beyond almost recognition. And so you see him in a lot of chronic pain, and he has now become the torturer now that he's back in the castle that he grew up in. So he is the torturer for that royalty, and he goes and obviously tortures people, and so it's just interesting to see that dynamic. I guess he is a villain if he's okay with torturing people. So none of the other characters in the First Law are pretty heroic either, but they don't actively torture people. So yeah, I'd probably go with Glockta because he's pretty dark and he has his own deep motivations for doing so, and I really like the voice of his character. He's done very, very well. And then the final question number 8 is ending. Do you like things wrapped up super well? Do you like things open-ended? What is your deal? My favorite endings are generally wrapped up from that situation, but not like multiple years in the future. I don't dislike any particular ending, because if it's done stylistically well, then it'll satisfy me because it fits the rest of the story. But if you drag it on for too long, if you leave it open with too many open-ended questions, then I'm not going to enjoy it. An example of an ending that I really liked, I really liked the ending of Mistborn. I like the ending of all of Brandon Sanderson's books because, okay, no, I'm going to go the ending of The Final Empire, which is the first book in Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn series, so it is Sanderson. But hear me out, because The Final Empire can be read as a standalone, and I think that's cool. So the reason I like it as an ending is because it does both. So it does leave things open-ended, but it also does clarify a lot of things as well. So it ties up loose ends, but it also leaves a few things open too. And I like that you can read it as a complete story and really enjoy that. And then there's also little tangents in it that if you were to go back and revisit it, you could write more. And that's what Brandon did. He obviously planted those tangents on purpose because he knew he was going to write a trilogy. So I really like The Final Empire. I think that was done really, really well. If there's too much to question and it makes me feel like I'm a dumb reader because I haven't understood everything about the book, then I probably don't like it and it wasn't executed very well, or maybe I'm just personality-wise didn't connect with the book. So I think I prefer closed endings because it means that everything is mostly wrapped up, but I will take a look and a gander at some open-ended books. I'm not going to let that stop me from reading and trying new stuff. So I guess that's my long-winded answer for the last question. So that is the end of the book tag. Thank you so much to Steph for tagging me. If you want to check out who I've tagged, I'll put them in the description below. So go and check out their channels. But thank you so much for watching. Chat to me in the comments and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.